are living in a time where mixed people are hyper visible and fetishized. It's not just light skin, it's the mixedness that people are drawn to. I'm here ready in my Aaliyah shirt. Actually, like the Aaliyah thing is kind of fitting because remember the whole controversy when Wendy Williams or whoever cast Zendaya as Aaliyah for the Lifetime movie? And we're talking about colorism. Like, do y'all remember that? It all comes full circle. It all connects. Okay. So obviously the first story that we're going to talk about today is the Keke Palmer versus Zendaya debate. I'd like someone to do a deep dive on the similarities and differences between Keke Palmer and Zendaya's careers. This may be one of the clearest examples of how colorism plays out in Hollywood. They were both child stars, but their mainstream popularity is very different. This image of Keke is sickening. Oh my gosh, that afro, I'm obsessed. And then there's Zendaya doing her model-esque thing. They are two incredibly talented Virgo queens who each have an Emmy, but in different categories. Keke Palmer has done so much throughout her career, yet people are saying Nope is her breakout role. Euphoria is considered Zendaya's breakout role, but that makes sense. The quotes and replies on here are so weird. Reading is fundamental. I'm not slighting either woman. I'm literally a fan of both of them. It's just weird that people are acting like this is a breakout role for Keke, who was very successful, and Zendaya has talked about colorism before. By the way, the below tweet is what got me thinking about mainstream. I disagreed with his tweet and was thinking about why. Keke has been a star to me since 2006, and if nothing else made her mainstream, GMA would have, in my opinion. The tweet says she went from Black famous to mainstream. The reason I chose Zendaya is because she's considered to be mainstream, is also a triple threat, act, sing, and dance, was also a child star, and the similarities go on and on. But if Zendaya were darker, I'm fixing the grammar here, I don't know that she would be considered mainstream by their definition. This is why I need someone to do this deep dive. If these numbers are accurate, then something really has to be done. Keke's resume is too long and decorated for there to be a gap like this. Keke's net worth is $7 million and Zendaya is $20 million. Now, first of all, I hope we all know that those celebrity net worth websites are bullshit. They're bullshit. So we're not going to really use that to corroborate any claims, but certainly it can stand to reason that Zendaya, because she's like in Marvel movies and shit, has more money than Keke Palmer. Those numbers probably fake. So when we're talking about the kind of fame that Keke and Zendaya have, I do think that it's useful to look at their resumes and their careers. So I was really having a hard time thinking about the last big movie that Keke Palmer was in before Nope. And so let's look at her IMDb. All right, so this is Lightyear, The Proud Family. Cardi, this is lots of TV stuff. What's Alice? I don't know what Alice is. Of course, we know Insecure, Big Mouth, love that show, love Nick Kroll. Hit Job. Okay, we're down, we're going down, we're going down. What's 2 Minutes of Fame? I don't know, never heard of that. Hustlers. It's Hustlers. So we're in 2022. Keke Palmer's last big role was in Hustlers in 2019. I also want to look at Zendaya. Let's pull up Zendaya's IMDb. Okay, Dune, Challengers, Euphoria, obviously, Spider-Man, No Way Home last year, Dune last year, Space Jam, Malcolm and Marie. Okay, Spider-Man. I forgot she was in Lemonade. Was Keke Palmer in Lemonade? Probably not, right? You know, the girls that Beyonce chose for the end of Lemonade. Questions. We have questions. Anyways, let's keep going. Yeah, so the last couple of years, Zendaya has had lots of mainstream, big budget movies. Okay. So another thing that we can compare is last year, Zendaya was in Spider-Man No Way Home and Dune and Malcolm and Marie, but we're not going to count that. We're going to count the big budgets. Let's look up the budget of Spider-Man No Way Home. $200 million. Let's look up the budget of Dune. 165 million. Okay. Now, the last big thing that Keke was in was Hustlers, right? Let's look up the budget of Hustlers. $20.7 million. Okay. That says a lot. Oh, you know what I forgot? Let's look up the budget of Nope. $68 million. That's a considerable jump. That's a big jump. So, if we're talking about why something might be considered her breakout role, I think that if we compare the last few years of Zendaya's career and the last few years of Kiki's career, if we compare the budgets of the big film projects that they have been in, then I think it makes sense why people are calling this her big break. I have not seen Nope. I don't care for that genre of film. Honestly, I'm not the biggest Jordan Peele fan, but that's for another day. If we compare the projects that they've been able to take part in, the size of the roles, I do think that this makes sense that people are like, oh, like this is her big thing. I think that there are a ton of eyes on her. Now, Melinda in that thread was like, oh, she was on GMA. Yes, she was a co-host of the third hour of Good Morning America for a minute. I really like her on TV. I think she has a great personality. I remember watching Just Kiki on BET. We know her from Aquila and the Bee and all, right? And social media and all of that. But I actually don't think that it's inaccurate to describe this as like the thing that is going to expose her to millions of new people, including millions of new non-Black people. I don't think that that is a mischaracterization at all. Okay, so that's claim number one. I thought Aquila and the Bee was Keke Palmer's breakout. Was white folks watching Aquila and the Bee? I don't know. I want to see how much money did Aquila and the Bee make? Yeah, no, the box office for Aquila and the Bee was $19 million. That's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money, you guys. So what we're seeing, right, is that Keke Palmer does, like, in our sphere, the Negro sphere, the colored sphere, she is everywhere. I'm tempted to use the word ubiquitous because I do use the word all the time. But she has really deep roots in Negro film world, Negro TV world. And of course, she had the stint on Good Morning America and other things. Like, I watch Big Mouth, but like, is that enough to put, no. No, I don't think so. So, okay, claim number one. Is this Keke's breakout role? Yes. As an adult actress, she's 28 years old. Yes, I agree with that claim. Is colorism playing a part in the fact that she does not have the kind of career, mainstream palatability, and access that Zendaya has? I mean, duh. I don't even think that that's even worth a debate, a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, denying colorism plays a part is like denying that racism plays a part in why Angela Bassett is not Meryl Streep. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, I don't want to waste any time on that. But in addition to colorism, right? Because it's not just colorism, it's also Zendaya's ability, because she has that like super skinny, like model body, to like get so much attention in the fashion world and fit all of those sample size clothes. And Zendaya has said herself that that is one of the ways that she transitioned into being more mainstream, was by just looking fucking great in the clothes and showing up on red carpets. And that's why people started paying a lot of attention to her. Now, it is her body frame. Of course, it's the color of her skin. Of course, it's the texture of her hair. And also, just generally, we are living in a time where mixed people are hyper visible and fetishized. It's not just light skin. It's not just light skin. It's the mixedness that people are drawn to. It's the exoticness that people are drawn to. So she also has that. Here's a little video from The Root that I saw.
A debate on Twitter is drawing comparisons between Zendaya and Keke Palmer. It's a healthy debate about colorism in the entertainment industry, with some arguing that Keke Palmer deserves the kind of recognition that has made Zendaya a household name. Palmer is the star of the #1 film this week, Jordan Peele's Nope, which means a larger mainstream audience is taking notice of her talents as a leading actress. With it, her recent success is being labeled as a breakout moment. But Palmer herself begs to differ, tweeting, quote, "A great example of colorism is to believe I can be compared to anyone. I'm the youngest talk show host ever. the first black woman to star in her own show on Nickelodeon, and the youngest and first black Cinderella on Broadway. I'm an incomparable talent, baby. This is Keke Palmer, unquote. Still, Palmer is less known for her work to mainstream audiences, despite, as she put it in another tweet, having over 100 plus credits as an actress. As a mixed-race actress, Zendaya has been able to navigate Hollywood with more ease than Palmer. She acknowledged her privilege in a roundtable with The Hollywood Reporter.
Being, a light-skinned woman, to recognize my privilege in that sense as well, and make sure that I am not taking up space where I don't need to, that I think has been a choice for myself.
And also critique colorism in Hollywood at BeautyCon.
I am, Hollywood's, I guess you could say, acceptable version of a black girl, and that has to change. We're vastly too beautiful and too interesting for me to just be the only representation of that.
The main takeaway from this debate shouldn't be a diss to either actress or their talents. Fans are quick to get defensive over their celebrities.
Okay, so let me just also say, Zendaya is the rare representation of mixed girl, black father, white mother who actually be talking right. She's talking right, okay? Now, I don't know if that's because she's super online, you know what I'm saying? And she understands the conversations, the discourse, so she can tap into it. But, the girls with the black fathers and the white mothers be led astray. They're so embarrassing. But that's why I like Zendaya. And I also like her because she has said that instead of trying to take up space in black films, she intentionally auditions for white roles. And we saw that when she got that main role of MJ in Spider-Man, the white nerds went crazy. Like, they lost their minds, right? But we love that. We love that. We don't need Zendaya in Wakanda, okay? We don't need Zendaya in Judas and the Black Messiah. No thanks. Okay, stick to Malcolm and Marie. We love that. So at least she is using the obsession, the fascination that so many people have with mixedness, right? With the biracial girls with the curly hair to take things away from white people and not black people. Love that. Appreciate that. I am not mad at Keke Palmer saying that she does not want to be a part of this narrative. I know that makes people super, super upset, and people are all over. I've watched a lot of videos on this today. Girl, don't say anything. Don't deny colorism exists. And it's like, honestly, okay. As a cultural commentator, something that I always have to keep in my mind is we're using these people to make certain kinds of political points, to tease out these ideas, but they are actually people. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have to live their lives. They have to navigate their careers. And so, yes, while we might have interesting and accurate thoughts on the doors that have been closed to them and all of the systemic forces that are blocking their path, Keke is a 28-year-old woman who still has 50, 60 years left in Hollywood. So I don't know her psychology. She might truly believe that colorism and texturism and featureism and the way that we project beauty onto people, assign beauty onto people, have no play in her career. She might really believe that. We don't know. Or she might be saying, dude, this is my fucking moment, and I do not want this discourse to dominate my moment. And if it's the latter, I have no problem with that. I do think that Keke gets to opt out of being the object of the discourse when she's getting so much praise, so much attention, so many write-ups. I just read an interview with her in Vanity Fair. Do we want this thing to be the center of the conversation? If this is Keke Palmer's breakout role, which I do believe it is, do we want that? Does she want? No, that makes perfect sense to me. I also love that Keke Palmer is so unabashedly black. Now, obviously, I also saw somebody else saying, are we really going to center our colorism conversations on millionaires? And I think that that's actually like a legitimate critique. Okay, so I understand why we are so pressed about representation. I totally get it. Okay, we're obsessed with it. All of our discussions are like, who is getting what and who is where, and she didn't get this award and she's marginalized. But when we are talking about the phenomenon of colorism, of texturism, of featureism, of, all of these assortments of discriminations, I do think that things do get missed and do get obscured when we're always like centering the people who are at the very, very top. You know what I'm saying? People who are going to be fine anyway. That's one thought. But also, I am wondering about the kinds of choices that Keke Palmer has made, right? They're very Negro, right? Very much Negress. So is Keke Palmer, since 2006, Aquila and the Bee, is she intentionally making these kinds of choices? Or are these choices choosing her? Probably the latter, right? I mean, I don't know. Actually, gosh, I would love for her to sit down because we have to do a lot of speculation. We have to do a lot of speculation in order to have this conversation. And I kind of think that that's kind of where it goes astray. So anyways, using super visible figures to talk about systems when, it's the people at the bottom who are most hurt by these systems, politically, not the most useful, but it does make for interesting social media fodder and, a cute little video. The other thing is, one of the reasons why I feel a little uncomfortable, with this conversation, it is because I do like Zendaya and she is self-aware and she herself acknowledges so much how anyways, she herself acknowledges how colorism and texturism and featureism play such a big role in her success and all of her access. But it does put both of them in a defensive position where it's like you're inadvertently like making it a feud. And I know it's not a feud because like colorism is a real thing and it absolutely plays a role. But like when we're talking about two young working actresses who like are right now reading scripts and like going on auditions and are gonna hang out in the same circles and see each other at the same award shows, there is something where it's like you're making it weird. And so I think that also contributes to why Keke Palmer, who, even though she should not have to do this, does have to like dispel some of the stuff because she gonna see this lady. She gonna see this lady at the Emmys, at the NAACP Awards, at the Black Hollywood Issa Rae barbecue, right? Like Keke said in an interview, I think on The View, about how no one was knocking on her door for work, so she had to make her own work around the time she did Southern Belle Insults. Okay, so it is a matter of she just is not getting all of the offers. The other thing that I do, and I know people are like, well, she shouldn't have to list off all of her credits and like, it's not colorism. And I think like the way that she invoked colorism in those tweets, it didn't curl all the way over. It didn't quite hit the note. It wasn't a good time. But I do think that the underlying point of low key was a little shady, right? Her saying, no, I'm not just like the actor, like you're comparing me to, like I do all of these things and I do them really well and I've been celebrated and I've been doing this for 15, 16, 17 years. I like that. Though, should you have to invoke your resume and your accomplishments and respectability when we are talking about systemic discrimination? No, not really. That actually plays into the trope that people are trying to highlight with this comparison. Maybe she didn't realize that. Maybe she didn't. Anyways, the other thing, my final issue with some of this discourse is I do think that Keke Palmer should get more. She should get whatever she wants, basically. If she wants to be in the $200 million Marvel movie in the fucking cat suit, she should be able to get that. If she wants to do the little indie movie and win the Independent Spirit Award, she should get that. If she wants to do the middle brow drama and win an Oscar, she should be able to do that. But I do think when we are making these comparisons, we are inadvertently reinforcing things that we're trying to get away from, right? Like, I do think that we are inadvertently reinforcing the idea of like, certain things being better. And like the money thing is one thing, like give her the money. But like the fact that Keke Palmer has spent so much of her career in Black spaces, reinforcing the idea that like that's marginal or not a big deal or not as, like that is what so much of this discourse is centered in. And I get it. I do. I'm just not sure that it's useful. Is it useful? It turns valid social commentary into this individualized competitive spectacle. Yes, that is exactly what makes me feel a little bit of ick here, because instead of talking about all of these forces, not only in Hollywood and the entertainment industry, that conspire to marginalize Black actresses like Keke Palmer, it pits Palmer versus Zendaya and makes it a race. And I just think that just not only is it not useful, but it also really disadvantages Keke. It's saying that white audiences are worth more than Black audiences, and you haven't made it if white folk don't know you. Yes, that is what I mean, right? Like, when we're talking about Black famous versus mainstream famous, we are reinforcing the idea that every artist's goal is the transition, is the crossover, and that is aspirational. When Keke Palmer hasn't said that, I don't think she said that. Let me know. Let me know if I don't believe that she said that. I'm so curious about how if Zendaya will respond, since they have used her as the comparison. I think that Zendaya has good white lady publicists who are going to tell her not to wade into this conversation. But also, I don't want Zendaya to wade into this conversation because it further distracts from what should be Keke's moment. And I can see people calling her a hater if she did choose to address this. Yes. But also, it just doesn't even cross my mind that Keke Palmer would really address this in any meaningful way. She does seem to be like positivity, sunshine. Like, that is her persona. Maybe that's who she really is, but I don't know her, so I can't tell. From her social media and her interviews, she does just seem very upbeat, light, happy. I'm so grateful. And digging into this stuff is just not going to be useful. And also, somebody tweeted me like, oh, well, Gabrielle Union can call out colorism and Viola Davis can call out colorism. And I'm like, Gabrielle Union's almost 50. Viola Davis is almost 60. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are women who have been doing this for decades, well established, have nothing to lose. They're good. I don't have a problem, frankly, with Keke Palmer opting for self-preservation here. I don't.